I watched 7 movies that came out in March, and I honestly think it was the best month for movies in 2026 yet. Hey guys, my name is Grant, and I'm on a mission to watch every movie ever made so that you don't have to. And if that's something that you are interested in, then you are in the right place, and your wish has been granted. Like I said, I've seen 7 movies, and some of them were fantastic and are absolutely worth your time and you need to see tomorrow. And some of them I recommend that you just skip entirely. So I've ranked them all from worst to best, starting with the one that I would just completely skip and avoid entirely. There's only about one movie on here that I genuinely just didn't like. All the other 6 movies on this list I thought were pretty good. I thought they had a lot to offer, and I really enjoyed the collection of movies that we had this month. So let's just jump right into it. What was the worst movie of March? In last place is the Josh Duhamel movie Preschool that was directed and starring him, and it was about two dads who were trying to get their children into a nice private preschool and how they slowly start to sabotage each other's lives in order to get their children into the school. And out of all the movies on this list, this is the only one where I'd really say it's just not worth your time. I thought Preschool was a pretty boring and upsetting movie to watch. It is really unpleasant to see these two men who are equally unlikable and neither of whom deserve any kind of success or any kind of happiness at the end of this story. They are just awful to each other and to their wives for the entire movie. They are actively making the lives of everybody around them worse, and it really just creates an uncomfortable and unpleasant watching experience. It is an incredibly small, straight to digital release that doesn't really seem to have an audience. I don't really know who's out here looking for this movie, and I don't recommend it. I love Josh Duhamel in a ton of different movies. I think he is fantastic in the movie Life as We Know It, but he's shown before that unfortunately directing just isn't really his forte. All 3 of his movies that he's directed have pretty low ratings, and unfortunately, this is just another one of those. I don't recommend you see it. I don't recommend you go and spend the money that it would cost to watch it. This is one that you should honestly skip. In sixth place, I have the movie War Driver, and this is another really small, straight to digital movie, but it is one that has a little bit more to offer than something like Preschool. This is a movie starring Dane DeHaan and Sasha Calle, and it is a tense hacker movie crime thriller that has a strong and interesting premise, but really feels like it never desires to go any further than the base minimum that it can put into the movie. It doesn't really strive to achieve anything more. Its twists are interesting, but pretty predictable, and never really go as far as you would like to see it. This is a movie that is restricted by its own lack of enthusiasm for its own ideas or its own themes. And so, while you do get some interesting parts of this movie that can shine through and be a little memorable, it ultimately just kind of becomes a movie that you wanted to be better. And I respect their ability to create a small indie movie like this, but I don't really think it's anything out of the ordinary. And I don't think it's anything that you guys haven't seen before. I think if you like crime thrillers about hackers, you may get something out of this. But if you are not really looking for a movie like this, do I really think you should spend your time and money on it? Probably not. So it really is going to be your mileage may vary type of situation here. But for me, while I did give it a 6 out of 10, it's not something I would really recommend to other people. And then in fifth place, I have Pretty Lethal, which was a Prime Video original action movie starring a absolutely talented cast as a bunch of ballerinas who are taken into this hotel in the middle of nowhere run by Uma Thurman as a retired ballet dancer who wants to kill them. And so it is a violent, gritty action movie from Prime Video, much like the things that we have seen in the past. This is nothing different to, say, The Bluff from last month. This isn't very different to something like Playdate that we got last year, even though I think Playdate was a much, much better movie. I did give Pretty Lethal a 6 out of 10. I think there is a lot of fun in this movie, even if it does play it a little too safe. I think some of the kills in the movie are very creative. I think it's very interesting to see how the stunts work wraps in real ballet moves and the actual talent and skill that it requires to be a ballet dancer that is on display in this movie. And so if you're really into action movies, you are going to get something out of this that you haven't seen in every other movie you've watched. And that does add a little bit of worth to the movie and a little bit of potential. I actually probably would recommend this movie if you just have a free afternoon and want something to watch. I don't think it's going to change your life, and I don't think it's going to be in your top 10 for the year. But if you're just looking for something a little fun and a little exciting, there are much worse options you can go with. Pretty Lethal, I would recommend. It's on Prime Video right now. In fourth place, I have Mexicali. And this is a situation where my personal taste kind of plays a little bit into how high I've ranked this movie. Because I have it at a 7 out of 10, and Mexicali is your generic straight to digital action movie. Right? It stars Bren Foster as an Australian former mercenary who runs an avocado farm and is secretly having a relationship with the owner of the avocado farm, a woman named Estrella, who used to run it with her father. And now he is kind of the foreman of this farm, and they get into a run in with a cartel boss's son where he ends up dying. And you already know how this plot is going to go, right? You know that there's the cartel, you know that there's an Australian mercenary. If you've seen any other straight to digital action movie, any generic, uh, other movies from Bren Foster, maybe you've seen something from Scott Adkins, one of my favorite actors in Hollywood right now, this doesn't take any crazy twists or anything wild that you wouldn't expect from the movie, but it delivers on exactly what it's trying to do. Mexicali is a short, tight 90-minute runtime that has awesome fight sequences. The stunt choreography in this movie is some of the best that I have seen in 2026. The plot itself is weak. Some of the turns that it takes in the narrative are pretty confusing or boring, but you're not really watching this movie for that. You're watching Mexicali to see Bren Foster beat up a bunch of people. And does he do a good job at it? Absolutely. It's not for everybody. If everything that I've said doesn't really interest you, you are going to find this movie painfully boring, just so slow. But if you like action movies that go straight to Prime Video or straight to wherever you buy your movies, it's definitely one that I think is worth checking out. I had a lot of fun with it, and I would recommend it if you fall into that group. In third place, I've got Mike and Nick and Alice, the Hulu original that actually only came out a few days ago. So it's very possible that you haven't seen this movie yet. And we've taken a pretty big jump from number 4 to number 3. I have this movie ranked at a 9 out of 10. It is one of the more surprising movies that came out this month. It is sharp, it is incredibly funny in a really dumb way. The humor initially seems to be very stupid and play it very safe, but you recognize pretty quickly that the people behind the scenes on Mike and Nick and Alice know what they're doing in creating a really just funny experience. This movie is underrated for how many times it had me laughing out loud at some really dumb sequences. There's a running joke in this movie about how all the characters have seen Gilmore Girls, and to be honest, none of them are smart enough to even be analyzing the themes of Gilmore Girls, but of course they're all going to argue on it and repeatedly reference it throughout the story. And it's just little things like that where the characters are so fleshed out and so likable. It stars Vince Vaughn, James Marsden, and Isa Gonzalez as the trio turned quad group of mercenaries or mobsters that are trying to survive the night after Vince Vaughn accuses James Marsden of being a rat for the mob. And the mob leader is played by Keith David, who does a phenomenal job of giving you this kind of imposing presence and really just feels like somebody you can fear while the movie still stays funny and gives you a lot to laugh at. This is a movie that I think a lot of people might see drop on Hulu and not really know if they should check it out. I highly recommend it. The action is fun. The movie gets really violent in the last 45 minutes. So keep that in mind if that's something that you're not interested in. Maybe this one isn't for you. But if you just want something fun, something engaging, something that's going to make you laugh on a Saturday morning, I think this is one of the best movies you can watch. At number two, I've got the Alan Ritchson movie War Machine that dropped on Netflix at the beginning of the month. War Machine is one of the biggest streaming releases that we got this month. There are a lot of people that have already seen it, and it 100% delivered. Alan Ritchson plays a former soldier who unfortunately lost his brother in combat. And so, to honor his brother, he decides to join the Army Rangers. And while they are on a training mission to officially get certified, they come across an alien robot that immediately starts killing them. And so, this movie takes a twist from soldier drama straight into sci fi action. It is incredibly grounded and gritty for a sci-fi movie. I mean, you can really feel the way that all of the explosions and all of the gunfights, they feel weighty. They feel very based in a real sense of action, like you're really there. The camera work that they incorporated into this movie does a really good job at keeping you feeling like you're in the situation, which really adds to the tension of it all. You are right there along them, running away from this giant robot, and Alan Ritchson manages to bring in a whole lot of charisma for a movie where you don't even get his name. He's a number for the entire movie, and yet you just really want this character to succeed. And he does a fantastic job. I think the movie is also fantastic in its stunt work. A lot of the actors did their own stunts while they were working on this movie. And so scenes where they're going through river rapids or trying to avoid the explosions from the robot feel a lot more real when you can see that the actors are in there themselves. They're really reacting and they're really getting exposure to these situations. It adds a whole lot more tension to the movie and leaves it feeling a lot more grounded. War Machine was one of my favorite movies, not just of the month, but it's my second favorite movie that I saw in 2026. And if you notice that it's number two on my list, that means that the next movie I saw is, in my opinion, the best movie of 2026 so far. So let's just jump right into it. At number one, probably not a surprise to anybody, I of course have Ryan Gosling's Project Hail Mary, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. This movie. What can I even say about this movie that nobody has before? Andy Weir is a fantastic writer. I love The Martian and was really excited to see Project Hail Mary, but really tried to keep my expectations tampered because I didn't want to go into this expecting a 10 out of 10 and only get a 7 or an 8. Thankfully, that's not something I had to worry about because not only is Project Hail Mary the best movie that I have seen this year, it's the best movie that I have seen in years. It is one of my favorite movies that I have seen in theaters ever. It is phenomenal at crafting this real, engaging, heartfelt story that you can just fall in love with. It affects you emotionally, and this movie manages to tell you a lot about life and a lot about what it means to be a hero, to be a good person, to put your life on the line when situations get tough, and how sometimes bravery is a lot simpler and a lot more complicated than you think. Ryan Gosling carries this movie on his back for over 2.5 hours of runtime. If there is anybody in 2026 right now that is in the discussion for Best Actor, it's Ryan Gosling. If there are any directors that are in the running for Best Director, it is Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. This movie is a Best Picture contender. And if you don't watch it while it's in IMAX, you are going to regret it. There are only a couple of weeks left to catch this movie. And I recommend that whatever you are doing this weekend, you drop it and you go see this right now. This is going to be a movie that people are talking about for a very long time, and you don't want to miss it. It is my favorite movie of March. It is my favorite movie of 2026 so far. It might just be yours too. So those are all the March releases I watched, but I'm curious. There are quite a few that I've missed. I did not get to see Hoppers this month when I was really looking forward to, so I'm curious to know from you guys, what was your favorite movie of March? What did I miss that you think I should check out next? Or what on my list did you think was over or underrated? And if you're trying to figure out what to watch, what's coming next, make sure to check out my last video on the top April movies that I'm really excited to see that are actually worth watching. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.